everyone. Welcome to the Trucking Tower podcast. I'm really excited to be joined by John Gillie. How are you doing today, John?
Excellent, Andy. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming on with me. I was excited to talk with you. We're both in this entrepreneurial world, software world, and I appreciate you sharing your insights with us. So just to kick things off, where were you? What happened? Who were you surrounded with that inspired you to do what you do today?
Oh, that's funny. I get that question a lot. And actually, the idea came to me at Salesforce.com's headquarters in New York City a few years back. And I was in a meeting, and someone in the meeting had a stack of truck paper magazines. And no knock on truck paper. They have a fine business model and been around forever. I noticed the magazines were like the catalog was like 3 to 4 months old, like 7 or 8 of them. And I said, what are you doing? He goes, well, I got to sell a truck and I got to buy a truck. And he goes, I'm not having any luck. I go, oh, really? And he goes, yeah. He goes, I'm going through all these. I go, those magazines are like 3 months old. Right. And I'm thinking to myself, dude, that business is in the cloud. Right. Yeah. So anyways, it really didn't hit me until I walked out. And I'm walking down the street in New York City. I called my friend David, who was running, he was CEO of National Express at the time, about 40,000 units, right? So this is a guy who would know how to liquidate assets. And I said, geez, David, how do you liquidate your assets? Your used school buses or transit buses once they come off service. And he goes, well, let me tell you. And he gave me like 10 different answers. Then I said, what do you think about, would you do it online? He goes, do they have services like that? I go, no, I don't know. Let's research it. And from that moment, we started to research the problem. He became my first investor. He's on my board of directors, one of my best friends, David Duke. And that's how it came.
Oh, that's very interesting how that came about, but totally makes sense.
Yeah.
As everything's moving digitally into the cloud. I mean, I've seen it. You've seen it.
Well, it's interesting. So everything is moving to the cloud. And this was pre-COVID, by the way. I think people are saying, COVID and the shutdown forced people to work remotely or work from home. It was already happening. I think it accelerated things by 10 years. But in digital mode, everything compared to in-person has become expensive, really has. When you're running a business, both time and money, right? It always comes down to those two factors, time and money. In digital mode, it's much cheaper and you save significant time shopping online, buying online, and you do end up saving money as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I've seen it in my work career it certainly has worked out that way. So for some advice for our listeners and our viewers, I wanted to ask you, what are some of the top mistakes you've seen in this whole world of entrepreneurship, software development, launching businesses? You've been involved in quite a few. What are some of the top mistakes to avoid?
Top mistakes. I would say for me, always, it's always about the who first, right? The people, not only yourself, but the people that you surround yourself with. And I see people, founders or not just with entrepreneurs, but also in corporate America, because I spent most of my career in corporate America. And a business leader is only as good, whether you're in corporate America or you're an entrepreneur, or your seat or my seat. We're only as good as the top 5 people we surround ourselves with, the top 5 people we spend the most time with. And I think that where I see businesses or leaders, either corporate America or entrepreneurs, get really messed up is when they're surrounded by the wrong top 5, or it's suboptimal. On the opposite, I see people thriving because our business thriving, not because of the leader, but because of the core team, the 5 people that this entrepreneur or leader has. Yeah. Okay. Inner circle. I would say the other thing is, especially me being a late career tech entrepreneur, is one thing I've had to learn was right around product, right? You can't fall in love with your product. It's easy for me to say, oh my gosh, TruckTractorTrailer.com, we have the best product. I really think we do. It's all custom coded. We built it ourselves, took our time building it. Our technical debt is really low. That's another thing I I think a lot of tech entrepreneurs or techies that are building software, because essentially TTT, we're a software company that just so happens to have built an online marketplace for used trucks, tractors, and trailers. But I think too often techies or entrepreneurs, tech entrepreneurs, fall in love with their product, and the product is nothing. Product market fit and user experience is everything, right? So I think any advice I would give your following, your audience is to focus more on product market fit and user experience than just simply your product and what you think about it. Because what you think about your product doesn't matter. It's about the users of your service. That's what really matters.
Absolutely. Great advice there. So on the flip side of that, what are some of the top success secrets that you've seen, that we could share with others?
Yeah. Well, this is going to be kind of a boring response. I'm going to go back to the problem, right? That business leaders get themselves into is picking the wrong top 5. I think especially from my success, and I think you and I talked earlier about, Peter Drucker, Dr. Drucker, and the Organization of the Future, which he wrote, I think, first started writing in the 60s and revamped in the 70s and 80s and early 90s, is about the top 5. It's first about the who. You got to get the who right as a business leader. If you get it wrong, forget it. You're dead, right? It will just drag you down suboptimal because you're only as good as the top 5 people you surround yourself with. I think also another success criteria for a leader is making sure that you are doing what you love and can do great with people that you love, like the top 5 or your top 5's top 5. So it cascades out. But I think first as a leader or any business person, I think the career satisfaction and job satisfaction comes from doing what you love and focusing on what you do great.
Awesome. Yeah, I'd have to agree with that. Based on all the companies I've worked with, the leadership, group makes so much difference, and the attitude, the atmosphere, how well you do. So I totally agree with that.
Yeah. Okay.
So how can we support you? What are you working on? How can we support you?
Well, I'm just getting to know you, right? And we talked a little bit about things you got going on offline, and I it's intriguing. I don't know yet, but there's something here, right? You're in business to help companies like ours grow. Certainly, we need to grow. I want to talk with you more about that. And not just our company, but our customers. How can we use you, Andy, and Trucking Tower as a resource to help our customer base grow, and perhaps we could synergize that way, and grow together.
Absolutely. I look forward to keeping in touch and seeing where we go here. There's a lot of synergies between us. There's no doubt about it.
No doubt. Thanks, Andy.
So what would you say overall about your guest experience in booking and coming on the show?
Easy to come on board. Thank you. You set me up for success. I appreciate it. You're easy to talk with. I think we have common ground, not just with trucking, but also, I'm hoping to, jump on one of your venture capital and your private equity, independent, investing segments. I think you and I can talk for hours on that, but I love it so far. Thank you.
Absolutely. And what would you say as a final word of advice for people out there navigating this whole world of entrepreneurship, corporate, whether they're in corporate world, whether they're private, whether they're launching something? What is some, a final word of advice?
You put me on the spot there. I would say, learn how to sell. Learn how to sell and build something, right? And build a team, build your network. I think if you can, in today's environment, what separates winners from losers and B players from A players, you got to be able to sell, and you got to be able to have a huge network of resources to tap into. whether it's on LinkedIn or whatever your mode of, building out your customer relationship management tool, but your network. So you got to learn how to sell and build a network. If you can do both, you're unstoppable.
Absolutely. Well, John, you've given us a lot of great nuggets. Really appreciate being able to talk with you. I had a lot of fun talking with you offline as well. So we're certainly going to keep in touch. I want to thank you for coming on with me today. Certainly appreciate it.
Thank you, Andy. I appreciate you. Thank you.
And that's going to do it for this edition of the Trucking Tower podcast. And we will see you guys soon. Take care.
Bye.